Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance. Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 35. And the chapter is entitled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. And we are in the middle of the discussion between Dharma and Mother Earth about the atrocities of what's about to happen and what's going to happen in Kali Yuga. So, and we are very happy to have His Holiness Candramauli Swami with us. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All grace to Prabhupada, all grace to you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, gracious to you and all the devotees.
Sure.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasahetu Vidham Purushotamasyam Prema Valotu Chiha, Smitavalgo Jalpai, Tayam Samana Haramadu Mani Ninam, Romatsavo Mamayat Andri Vitanti Tayaha. Who, therefore, can tolerate the pangs of separation from that Supreme Personality of Godhead? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and hearty appeal. When he traversed my earth's surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuous covered with grass which appeared like hairs standing on me out of pleasure. There were chances of separation between the Lord and his thousands of queens because of the Lord being absent from home. But as far as his connection with earth was concerned, the Lord would traverse the earth with his lotus feet, and therefore there was no chance of separation. When the Lord left the surface of the earth to return to his spiritual abode, the earth's feeling of separation was therefore more acute. Omigyan, Megandasya, Gana Salakaya, Tatsun Militam Yonatas Shri Guru Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutala Swam Rupa Padam Dadati Swam Padantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutala Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavani Pastyatya Desatarine Vanchakalpa Surubhishya Kripa Sindhu Pe Vacha Patitanam Bhavane Gyo Vaishnave Gyo Namaho Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So all of creation is personal, but unfortunately we don't see it like that. And here it's given the understanding that the earth is lamenting soon that the Lord will leave the earth's planet, and there will be feelings of separation from the Lord. Earth is called Bhumi Devi. She's actually one of the 7 mothers that are listed in the Shastras. And she is practically prominent, one of the most prominent of all the mothers, because she provides all the necessities of life that the living entity requires in order to live, such as food, air, and even anything that is within the nature's arrangement is also given by Mother Earth. She also restricts when people are sinful. She is the energy of the Lord for providing to the living entities and also punishing the living entities, both. She's like a mother who has children. When the children become obedient to the mother and serve the mother nicely and grow up according to how they should, the mother feels happy, and then they automatically receive all the benefits. But when they disobey the mother or neglect the mother or do things opposite to the mother's instructions, then the mother will punish in different ways. And one of the ways the earth punishes is she withholds her bounty. This is mentioned also in the 4th canto. When Maharaj King Vena was the son of Maharaj Agnidra, he became the king, and when his father left everything and went to the forest. He was the heir to the throne. But his mother, the wife of Agnija, was a demon. And because of that, well, she was actually very sinful, not so much a demon, but she was low class. He developed those qualities. And when he took the position of ruling, he was acting against Brahminical culture and restricting and even depriving the Brahmins for their proper service in providing the knowledge that people needed in order to gain, along with restricting the sacrifices that Brahminical culture follows. And he was also very harsh on the citizens. His only good quality, he was harsh on the rogues too. And so he would punish them very severely. But because of his rule was sinful, at one point the Brahmins decided to remove him from his position. And Brahmins were powerful. They performed austerities, they followed the Vedas, and they were pure in their activities. And so they would chant mantras, and they could chant mantras that would have a particular effect when the mantra was directed. And these Brahmins, they chanted these mantras to kill Vena, and it worked. They killed him through chanting of the mantras because he was acting against religious principles. When they would say, well, you have to, you're the king, you're the representative of God, he would say, yes, I'm not the representative of God, I am God. So this would get the Brahmins really upset. And he would make similar statements about, Brahminical culture. And so in order to relieve the burden of the earth, they removed this king by chanting mantras. And then his body, as it's mentioned, it was churned. And from the churning came two living beings. One was called Bahuka, which was a low caste person who was sent to live in the forest. And the second one, after his body became purified from the first churning, the second person came out was Prithu, who later became the next king of the world, which we know as Prithu Maharaj. Very saintly and very powerful king. When Prithu Maharaj took the throne, you could see that the earth was withholding because of the previous administration. And so he approached Mother Earth and asked her to perform sacrifice. And he said, I would perform sacrifices, and then you provide all of the necessities that people need to live nicely and happily. So that was the arrangement. So there, in that example, we see how, and the rulers of the world become sinful. Mother Earth punishes the rulers in different ways, and people in general also to follow these rulers. So you see that in some places in the world there is great scarcity, and other places there is great profuse amount of supplies. And there are people who are always in need of the basic things in life because of the restrictions driven by Mother Earth, which is due to the demonic need that is presently going on in the world. So here, the earth is experiencing her feelings of separation. The relationship with the Lord is of two kinds, called Vipalam and Sambhog. Vipalam means to worship the Lord in the mood of separation from the Lord. And the other was to worship the Lord in the mood of meeting the Lord, and being with the Lord. So in both of these forms of worship are authorized forms of how to approach the Supreme. The intensity of devotion is always greater in the mood of separation. Because in that mood, there is the mood of longing, of wanting to be with the Lord again, or wanting to experience the presence of the Lord so one can offer service to the Lord. So this mood of separation is actually the foundation by which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu based his philosophical teaching. Ugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pavishaitam Shunyaitam sarvam govinda virahim. That feeling separation from the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of his pure devotee is expressing that mood by saying that every moment appears to be 12 years or more, and the tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling very unhappy in your absence. So this mood is actually very powerful. It's even greater than the mood of meeting the Lord. Because sometimes when we meet the Lord and we are in association, we may also not take advantage of that association. But in the mood of separation, of course, in the material world, when people experience separation in a material sense, there is some of these same symptoms, but they have a tendency to die at a particular time. They're not ongoing. Because in this material world, people will have a relationship, and then when that relationship is over or parted by time or circumstance, people want to fulfill that void by, again, finding another relationship. So there may be some separation for a while on that mood, but after some time, it doesn't withstand. But in the spiritual realm, within relationship with the Lord, because we are eternally connected with the Lord, that mood of separation is exhibited by wanting to do more and more service. This is how Lord Chaitanya is explaining and performing devotional service. That mood of separation is like the mood of worship is the mood of trying to meet Krishna through the process of serving Krishna. And in devotional service, that is the hankering, that by my service, maybe Krishna will come and accept my service. Krishna will appear to me in different ways. So that is the hankering that the devotee wants. Then Prabhupada said we should desire like him. We should want to see the Lord, he said. Of course, there's other statements that appear to be contrary, but in one particular statement, he does make that point. It comes up in the 13th chapter of this same first canto, when Vidura is instructing Dhritarashtra about how he is overly dependent in a very pitiable way on the people that he tried to destroy after he lost the battle of Kurukshetra and his sons were killed. He took shelter of the Pandavas, who really were his enemies in that battle. But because they were related, they took care of him in a very pitiable condition, and simply accepting all of their care like a dog who receives remnants from the master. And so Vidura wanted to enlighten his brother that, you're wasting your life. You should leave home and go to the forest and perform austerities and penances and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, after hearing the instructions of his brother, he did that. So throughout the Vedic scriptures, and especially in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we find this mood of separation is very much prominent. And devotees can practice this mood by wanting to serve the Lord more and better, more and more, better and better. Praying to the Lord, my dear Lord, I'm so unqualified, yet I have this desire to be with you. So please give me your mercy. And then people can express that mood of separation in different ways, by writing letters to the Lord, by praying to the Lord, by taking on more service just to please the Lord, putting more quality in our service, and so we find more happiness in our expression. All of these are ways to practice this mood of separation. But we see, I mean, the prime example is the gopis in Vrindavan. When Krishna was in Vrindavan, and Kamsa wanted to make a plan to kill Krishna, so he sent Akrura to bring Krishna to Mathura. And then Kamsa had this plan that he was going to arrange a wrestling match, and that would be the way to eliminate Krishna. So Akrura, he knew that Krishna could not be killed. And so he went on behalf of Kamsa, and he came to Vrindavan. And he made his petition that actually, and the Lord knew that this was an opportunity to remove Kamsa. So he decided to go to Mathura. But when the gopis realized, not only the gopis, but Mother Yasoda, all of the residents of Vrindavan, when they understood Krishna was preparing to leave, they practically lost consciousness. And were praying and also begging Krishna to stay. And Krishna had a mission. You see, the Lord, when he comes to the world, he has this loving relationship with his devotees, but he also has a mission. And many times he accepts the mission as the most prominent thing. And he tries to give association with his devotees occasionally. But his mission, he carries out, and he has to Pravitranayam Sadhunam Vinasanaya to kill and remove irreligion and reestablishing Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, eternal religious principle. So when there was a chariot arranged, and Krishna and Balaram were boarding the chariot to leave, and everyone was in anxiety, and especially the gopis, and they were running in front of the chariot and falling on the ground so the chariot would not move. They were thinking it's better that we give up our life and Krishna leaves and gives up our association. But after some time, it was determined that Krishna was going to leave. But Krishna said something before he left to the gopis, which really gave them some solace, not much. And that solace was, I'll be back. I'll be back. So he said that, and that gave them a little feelings of hope. But still they were feeling that anticipation of separation. And Akrura, who came to take Krishna, he was simply acting on the will of Krishna, which was coming indirectly through Kamsa, because Krishna wanted to go and kill Kamsa. And so, but the gopis were angry at Akrura, and they cursed him. He said, "You're not Akrura, you're Krura." Akrura means kind, and Krura means cruel. So they were calling him cruel, and they cursed him. And later, because of that curse, Akrura had to suffer. He actually did things that he would not normally do. He got involved with this intrigue with the Samantaka jewel and became a party in stealing the jewel, which was against the will of Krishna. So that was due to the curse of the gopis. We should understand how this works also, that if we do something that is contrary to religious principles and it causes distress to others, we will get a reaction, even if we are supposedly a great soul, a person who is fixed in devotional service. So everyone has to act carefully and according to religious principles. And therefore, one has to know what is religious principles. If we don't know what religious principles are, or we don't know what irreligious principles are, and we act contrary, the idea of not knowing is not an excuse. Prabhupada would give the example that in the courtroom, the man is in front of the judge, and he makes his plea, my dear, Your Honor, I didn't know this was wrong. The judge says, ignorance is no excuse. You have to pay the penalty. So in the same way, we have to know, because if we don't, we will make mistakes and get trapped by the material energy or do things wrong. So it's very careful. We have to know what are these religious principles and make sure we follow them carefully and at the same time avoid irreligious activities or things that are contrary to our spiritual practice. Therefore, Sanatana Goswami explains that there are two principles in full surrender to the Lord. One is called Anukulena, and the other one is called Pratikulena. Anukulena means to accept favorable things for devotional service, and Pratikul means to avoid things that are unfavorable. From my experience in Krishna consciousness, I see devotees have a tendency to know what is right, but they don't have a tendency to know what is wrong. And so many times they cover their advancement in devotional service by acting in the wrong way. And there's another type of wrong activity. That means if you're supposed to do something and you don't do it, that is called offense by omission. Like if your spiritual master walks in the room and you fail to honor or pay obeisances, that's an offense. Even though you didn't do anything, still that's offense by omission. That happened to Indra when Brihaspati walked into the assembly where Indra was being worshipped, and Indra didn't pay any attention to his spiritual master. Brihaspati stopped at the door, noted Indra's impudence, turned around and walked out. And then Indra realized that he had committed this offense by omission, and he wanted to apologize to his spiritual master, but he couldn't find him anywhere. And Brihaspati disappeared. And right after that, the demigods lost their foothold in the heavenly planets, and the demons became prominent. When Bali Maharaj came into the kingdom to fight against the demigods couldn't even fight. They just ran. And that was due to the offense of Indra, offense by omission. But here we're hearing about the mood of separation. So when Krishna told the gopis, I'll be back, they had that hope that someday he would be back. But he left and didn't come back for, it says, for 100 years. He did come back, but Radharani, she expressed her mood of separation at one point. But in that mood, she is saying, she's praying to the Lord, she's speaking to the Lord, my dear Lord, you are like a hunter that keeps animals locked up in a room, and the animals cannot get out, and you have set the room on fire. So the animals are burning in the fire, and at the same time they cannot get out. So in the same way, I am burning in the fire of separation from you. I want to die, because of that separation. But I can't because you have locked the door with the statement, I'll be back. I'll be back. So that was Radharani's mood. So yeah, so this mood of separation causes, and so the devotees should understand that this is what it means. It's for us, we are called Purvaras. Purvaras means loving Krishna before meeting Krishna. Loving Krishna before meeting Krishna. So is it possible that that has any value? Yes, but at the same time, there is a point there that it needs to be explained, and that is, we were with Krishna in the spiritual world. We simply forgot. Because when we come to the material world, as soon as you take on a body, you forget. Just like we had a previous life prior to the life we are in now, but we don't remember that life because as soon as we take on another body, we forget. We forget. So this forgetfulness is a feature of the material tabernacle, which causes the living entity to think in the wrong way or not to understand their relationship with Krishna. But the scriptures explain and give us a clear understanding. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saruka Bunoi Sravanadi Siddhi Chitte Koriyori Doi. Each one of us has an eternal loving relationship with the Lord that is never lost, but only forgotten. Now, the goal of human life is to reawaken that relationship and engage in devotional service to the Lord. There is no second goal. All other activities we may perform has to be supportive or in connection to achieving that goal, which is engaging in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Okay, so we'll stop there and see if there's any response.
Thank you so much, Matt, for such a wonderful class and really getting into the details of how we should be cautious and always serving and always remembering the Lord in our service. We have a question, Maharaj, but I'm going to ask the others first before we go in. If there are any questions that devotees would ask, I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see all the participants. And we ask the devotees, if you're able to turn on your cameras, please do so where you're at so that we can see each other and Maharaj can see us. Dear Krishna, I think you had a question first. Do you want to go first, Prabhu, or do you want me to ask? Okay.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful class. I love the way you put it, how you have walked up this material world. Mother Earth is expressing emotion. You also mentioned about the service. So sometimes we are very inconsistent. How to deal with that inconsistency in our service? Sometimes we are very charged up. Sometimes we just don't care. Sometimes it is motivated by getting some prestige or recognition. So did everyone get the question?
Not
Maharaj,
really.
repeat for him. I think what he asked is how can we be consistent in our service? Sometimes we get charged, then we drop, then we pick up, then we drop. Sometimes we just want recognition when there is a crowd, and when there's no crowd, then we take a back seat because there's no one to recognize us. And sometimes we just cannot maintain the continuous service attitude, right, dear Krishna? Okay.
Now, Rupa Goswami explains the process of bhakti through the different stages. And after becoming initiated by the spiritual master gives the direction and the philosophical understanding by which the disciple can execute devotional service. And that's meant to clear away the anarthas. And there are 16 anarthas that's mentioned by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his Bhajana Rahasya. And these anarthas are blocks. As long as there is anarthas there will be unsteady devotional service. And depending on the quality of the anartha or type of the anartha, that steadiness will be more or less. The unsteadiness will be more or less. So when we practice devotional service, and it is about getting rid of the anarthas, both through the process and becoming aware what are those anarthas and carefully avoiding them. Two aspects of removing anartha. That if we become aware of them and we try to remove them, that's one way. But that is insufficient to get results. We have to also chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, follow the process given by the spiritual master. That is purifying. So both of these has to go on simultaneously. And if we just chant and perform the activity, but we're not aware of the mantra, of the different anarthas, we may again become unsteady in our devotional service inadvertently. We're not aware of that also. And so when 75% of the anarthas are removed, then you come to the stage of nishta. Nishta means steadiness. So that's then one will be fixed in the process of devotional service. So therefore we have to be very conscious of what is blocking us in devotional service and very carefully remove that. Avoid it, remove it, and stay fixed in our practice of devotional service. So unsteady bhakti is mentioned there in Madhurya Kandambini. Vishwanath Chakravarti gives 6 things which are the foundations which called unsteady bhakti. And one of them is Ranga Tarangini. Ranga Tarangini is seeing the benefits that one gets from devotional service as an indications of one's advancement. Now, you might get position, you might get praise, you might also gain some material remunerations. A lot of ways that Krishna reciprocates, or through the material energy, the devotees progress. Things start to develop in that way. And one of seeing these things as one's advancement, that is one of the anarthas. The advancement is the purification of the heart. And then the advancement is indicated by the qualities that the devotee exhibits, and not so much what they have or what they have done. These things are secondary. So we have to be aware of that. Ranga Tarangini is one again. On again, off again. I'm going to chant 64 rounds today and every day, and I'm going to be really fixed. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to, not talk any nonsense. And you get really fired up, and after 4 days, you're back doing the same thing again. It's mentioned that a person has these faults or forms of austerities, and thinking by doing that they will make advancement, but they can't maintain it because it's too difficult for them to maintain. So on again, off again. And there's other anarthas. These are 2 of the 6 that are mentioned in the 2nd chapter of the Madhurya Kandambini. That's a book that is essential for devotees to read and study. And if you don't read and study that book, you won't know what are the subtle forms of your anarthas and how to overcome them. You'll go on in your devotional service wondering why things are happening the way they are, or why things are not happening the way you want them to happen. So we have to be aware of these things, and that's why we have all these books. If we don't read the books, study the books, hear from the spiritual teachers regularly, we will go on in a very half-minded way in devotional service.
Maharaj, before I go to Parikshit, you mentioned a point, Maharaj, and in the answer, and thank you, that's a very, thanks for asking that question there, Krishna. Maharaj, you mentioned conscious, that we have to be conscious. And in this age of Kali Yuga, we're not even connected to any awareness. How can one be conscious that they are slacking, they are not consistent, and especially when one doesn't want to take instructions, how can they be conscious, Maharaj? I go through that sometimes with some, it's like, yeah.
I'm going to give you an answer that you may find a little bit unusual.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, and it's also very practical. So if you live with somebody, ask them what's wrong with you. What do you need to do? If you have a husband or a wife or somebody who's close to you, yeah, ask them, please tell me, where can I improve? What am I doing that I shouldn't be doing, and vice versa? What am I not doing that I should be doing? Because people know you better than you know yourself, for those who are close to you. That's one way. And the other way is the more direct way, is just remember Krishna always. And then you're always in best consciousness.
Marge, I have to say that the first one you that you mentioned is definitely one that I've heard from Bhaktitirtha Swami, mentioning that in some of his workshops. Ask someone, how can I improve or be better, or what am I slacking in, and take that instruction and work on ourselves. So thank you for reminding that, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah, I was also in one of his workshops that he was doing like that.
Okay, yeah.
I saw some people didn't want to go through with their exercise either.
To ask someone what's wrong with you, it's pretty humbling. It's pretty humbling. Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, ask somebody who's close to you that cares for you. That way you keep that relationship nice.
Yes, Maharaj. I'm going to go to Parikshit and then I'll go to Mother Scarlet because he had his hand up earlier.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept on all obeisances. All glory to the Prabhupada. Yeah, I was going to ask a question, but I'll make one quick comment since CEO was talking about this last thing that you're discussing. That sometimes is difficult when people are being, or you ask somebody to tell you what's wrong so you can fix it. But I remember back Jeremiah said we have to park our false ego somewhere else before we get ready to hear it, because we are going to hear things we're not going to like. So it's back to false ego. All right, that's all I wanted to add. Now, my question is about, you define Purvaras, if I heard correctly. Purvaras is loving Krishna before meeting Krishna. That is, and he says devotees are in Purvaras. Then he got me thinking that from the Shastra tells us that Rukmini heard when he was with his brother and his family, Rukmini and the rest of them, they wanted to marry her off to Shishupal. But he had already heard the glories of Krishna, and she already had fallen in love with Krishna, but he hadn't seen Krishna yet. Is that also Purvaras, or pure devotees don't come under that type of ras? Is it for Purvaras? So my question is, Purvaras is for us conditioned souls only, or do pure devotees like Rukmini also go through something like that?
Well, Rukmini's not an ordinary personality. He's an expansion of the Gopi Candramauli from Vrindavan. So that pure love is already there. And so just by hearing about Krishna, then she became attracted to Krishna. So Purva Ras is fueled by the process of hearing more and more. You can say there's an element of Purva Ras in that mood, but for the pure devotees, it's it's not like they have to learn so much about Krishna. That love is already there. For us, the word Purvarus is trying to love Krishna. Because that love still has to be awakened. In the case of Rukmini, it was already awakened.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, March. Yes, Mother Scarlett.
Hare Krishna, and thank you for today's class. May I ask previous class question again? Please forgive my ignorance. May I ask again that question?
I
Just
asked you that.
I don't have understand it.
Yeah, I asked you to ask that question, so you're okay.
May I ask it?
Yeah, because I asked you to ask.
Yes, it's Chaitanya, Madhya Lila 15:100a, where it says that the devotional service doesn't count before one is not initiated.
Yeah, there's that statement in that we actually brought up the text and we read it. That actually any activity, if you don't become initiated, all your activities are useless. That's the word. Prabhupada's making a very clear and powerful statement in relationship to those verses that are being said. There's 108, 107, and 109, those three verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Madhya Lila, chapter 15, is talking about the holy name. It's talking about the holy name. And the chanting of the holy name is not dependent on initiation. That's mentioned in that section. But Prabhupada wants to give us a clear understanding how that applies in practice. That yes, you can chant the holy names, and you don't have to have the initiation to be chanting the holy name. But in order to perform devotional service effectively, practical guidance accordingly is needed from the spiritual master, whose duty is to see the disciple and engage them accordingly. Without that practical guidance or accepting the spiritual master, then one will perform devotional service according to what they want to do and how they want to do it. And therefore, it may not always be what the best way that they can make advancement in Krishna consciousness. And so Prabhupada is making a specific point there. But what he's also saying, based on other statements in the scriptures, like Tad Vigyartam Guru Eva Abhigatsto, that one must accept the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and eventually get initiated. And when Prabhupada would give the lectures on the initiation day, he would say, initiation means beginning. Initiation means beginning. So what are we doing before initiation? We're practicing to begin. We're getting, just like you can't swim, and here you are in front of the lake, but you want to go swimming. So you gradually get a feel of the water before you actually dive in, just to get a little understanding what the water is like and how far you can go out before you actually have to start swimming. So this is what the preliminary point, and therefore that is called Adaustrada Sadhu Sangha. Faith, bringing it into association with devotees, and practicing the process in the association with devotees. Now, if you're practicing the process in the association of devotees in the proper way, you will come to the third stage, which is taking shelter of the bona fide spiritual. If you don't practice that association properly and the activities in that association, you will not be able to come to the next stage. Therefore, all of your activities are useless. That's how it's understood in that context. Because unless you go to the stage of initiation, you can't get to the stage of nishta, which is after the stage of anartha-nivritti. Your anarthas will stay. And although you're performing devotional service, you won't be able to make any advancement. You'll do one thing by practicing the process of devotional service before initiation. You're pushing back the effects of suffering in the material world. That is the only benefit you get. You're not actually developing your loving relationship with Krishna, because Krishna has empowered his representative to give his mercy in the form of being his representative in the material world to guide the living entity. We have to accept that guidance and the process by which the guidance is given. And that comes when we accept the spiritual master. So it's like standing on the bank of the river and wanting to swim, getting a feel of the water, and then turning around and going back onto the shore without diving in. So that's why it says that everything you do prior to that is useless unless you come to the next stage. That's what it means.
Thank you. May I ask another minor question, please?
Just hold that question for a minute.
Okay.
We'll see if there's any other questions, and we'll come back.
Does anyone else have a question that they would like to ask? Marge, I have a question, and I wanted to get a better understanding is when you were speaking about separation, and then you were saying that in the material world, if I heard the words you said correctly, is that we maintain that separation for a while and then we forget about it because we forget that connection. And the only way for us to remember that connection is to be engaged in service, Marge? Is that correct?
The eternal relationship with Krishna?
Yes. To feel that separation is to be engaged in service?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, separation is not something that is static. It's a mood of wanting to be with Krishna, and that mood is acquiesced or functional through service. I want to be with you, so I'm gonna serve. And when you're serving, you're actually calling Krishna to come. And when Krishna is pleased by your service, he may appear before you in one form or another. Simply by you becoming happy is one of the forms that Krishna appears, that he's accepted your service.
That's really deep. That's really deep, Marge.
Well, that's the process. So we should hanker for service. That means we're hankering for Krishna.
Amazing. Thank you much. Just the way you said it is like, wow. I can see the Krishna's face. Him and I, he's blown away. Thank you so much, Marge. Yeah, wow. Have to really.
You're gonna chase him, and you're gonna catch him for a minute. He's gonna smile at you and make you feel good, and then he's gonna run away again. That's what he does. He did that to the residents of Vrindavan constantly. That's his mood. Not like you can catch him. It's not that easy. It's practically impossible to catch Krishna, but it is possible also. It's almost impossible, but slightly possible. But Krishna is always with you because he gives you everything you need to live your life in devotional service.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was really powerful. Thank you so much. Mother Anna, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, please set my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the talk. I have just one quick question. I had an experience yesterday where I've been preaching where I am to some new friends that I've been making, and Nayana's friends with the children as well. And we went around their house and had some food, and I was talking about prasad and things like that. And then we came home and we had Nayana's, and I felt it as well. It was really strange, but I think we brought back an entity or a ghost or something from their house. And Nayana was really scared at night, and she I didn't even tell. She just said, "Mummy, there was a man there, and he was looking at you, and he was a bad man." And so I literally put kirtan on in the room. I put the Sringi Dev oil on her, and I did things. And I was kind of like, I think it's gone now, but it really made me like conscious of how do we associate with people that might not be in like the best environment or the area, but protect ourselves to not bring things back, but be able to give them and preach to them without taking anything back.
You have to be strong. If you're weak, you're going to be affected.
Mm.
You have to strengthen your bhakti. Yeah, and most people in the material world are all haunted. They all carry entities with them to one degree or another.
Mm.
Anybody who takes intoxication, anybody who engages in illicit sex, all of these people carry entities with them.
Mm.
So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have to be careful how you associate.
Mhm.
Definitely, Prabhupada said, don't take their association, but give them your association. But in order to give them, you have to be in a position of, spiritual strength. You have to have something to offer.
Mm.
So it's not that we shouldn't preach, but you can also have to be very careful and not allow, their consciousness to become your consciousness.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you very much.
If you remain strong in your chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you're in the best position to, be unaffected by the effects of the material energy.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah. Is the ghost gone?
I hope so. I've been putting kirtan on the Stringy Dave oil. So I hope so. We'll see tonight.
Can't chant the Sringa mantra.
Okay.
Don't eat food cooked by non-devotees.
Mm. Okay.
That's
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's where they enter into your consciousness through food, especially grain.
Mm. It's true. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Niti Gopal Prabhu, go
I
ahead.
will.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Wonderful lecture, Maharaj. I have a question on the Anusaya Mataji asked in the longing or separation when you turn to the services that help us to practice the devotion in the separation. So when you speaking about services, so the 9 stages of devotional service comes as a part of services, Maharaj.
Well, all 9 stages have service in them. No, the first one, the Tao Strata, that brings you to the association of devotees. The Tao Strata, Sadhu Sangha is the beginning of your service. Well, the first one doesn't have service, but all of the others, that service is done in different ways, different moods. There's 9 processes of bhakti. So You can see each of the 9 processes, how they are applied in the different stages.
So the 9 stages I was thinking on the Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasyavanam. These are the ones.
That's going to be there all the way through.
Thank you, Manas.
Mhm.
Thank you, Prabhu. Namrata, you can go with your question.
Hare Krishna, humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Kumar, my question was about the anartha, endeavoring for anartha. You mentioned that we must make some endeavors as well, apart from japa. So there are devotees who are just interested in following the process as given by the gurus or the seniors. They are not interested in, they find it difficult to analyze the philosophy and implementing that. So they just follow what is given to them, and some are they like to give analysis and try to look at the intricacies. But then what is the difference now? Is that also all right if devotees are not interested in if they're just believing following the
Many of them gone beyond the stage of reflecting on the anarthas, and they have passed that stage, so they're fixed in their devotional service. Devotional service brings about all good qualities, and then when these good qualities appear, the anarthas are also destroyed. So yeah, there are people who are absorbed in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. They don't have to all the time reflect on the different anarthas because they're fixed on a higher consciousness already. But you can't imitate that. Just like when you walk into a association of devotees, you have to practice certain qualities in that association. But for an advanced devotee, they don't have to think about practicing those qualities. They already imbibe those qualities. So it's automatic for them. And maybe for us, we have to learn, well, we have to be humble, we have to be tolerant. So it depends on what stage of bhakti you're on. If you're still struggling with the artha nivritti, then you should be aware of those things that are going to pull you down.
Mhm.
But if you have passed that stage of anartha nivritti, you're on the stage of not only nishta, but ruchi, and you're feeling happy all the time in Krishna consciousness. Then you don't become so much conscious of all of the things that you shouldn't do because you're fixed on what you should do.
So Guru Maharaj, at the neophyte level, we need to do that endeavors. That is quite necessary for all the devotees.
You have to know what stage you're on. You have to say, if you're just recently initiated, then you're working with the anartha nivritti stage. When you get to the nishta stage, that means you're steady in bhakti. Nothing's going to knock you off the practice. You're fixed. No matter how difficult anything comes your way, you're not going to give up devotional service. You're not going to give up the association of devotees. That's the stage of. But before then, you might be how the anarthas affect you will be indicated on how you respond. You might be critical. You might desire, well, if I perform devotional service, I'll get a nice position somewhere, or I might even, I might even develop mystic power, and I can do so many wonderful things, or you look towards material benefits in in the practice of devotional service. So if we're still doing that, it means these anarthas are still there.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. That quite clarifies. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Sri Devi, you're next, Prabhu.
Thank you, Anastasia. Yeah, Guru Maharaj, I have a question about steadiness. When we come to the platform of Nishtha, does it mean we become steady in our sadhana, or does it mean we become steady in service, or both?
That's an interesting question, and that's been brought out by some discussions by senior devotees. It's generally steady in service. Because if you're steady, in order to be steady in service, you have to be steady in sadhana anyway.
Right, right.
But on a higher platform, your service becomes your sadhana. That's for more advanced stages where they're absorbed in service, and there's no distinction between sadhana and service. But for us, we have to make that distinction. So generally, Nishtha really means steady in service. You're not going to give up your service or become less enthusiastic in your service when you reach the stage of Nishtha. You might be sitting in Jalangi Dham in the evening, and you're there with a program, and it's becoming dusk, and the mosquitoes are coming. And there's a nice lecture at the same time, but the mosquitoes are attacking you. You got the mosquito repellent, but it's not working. And so if you run away from the lecture because of the mosquitoes, you haven't reached Nishtha yet. It's just a kind of a crude example, but in other words, whatever challenges you have from the external environment or from people in general, it's not going to affect your fixation in your devotional service. Well, that person said something bad to me, and I feel so unhappy, I'm not going to the temple. That's Maya.
So what if we are steady in our chanting? We have become steady at that level. But in our practices, we are not able to still become steady, say in going for Mangalarti. We're only managing, say, Darshanarti and class, Guru Puja morning program from 7 a.m. onwards, which is, I'm talking about my situation. How can we come to the point where we can actually become steady for even Mangalarti?
Prabhupada didn't go to Mangalarti, but he told us we should go. Because at that time, he was busy with his translations. You can't imitate them. Try to follow the. If you can't go to Mangalarti, then have Mangalarti where you are.
So Mangalarti at home, and then we can go for Darshanarti.
Well, if you can go for Mangalarti, go for it. If there's circumstances that make it impossible or difficult, then substitute going from by performing Mangala Arati where you are. There are people who live outside of the temple area, maybe too far from the temple, or it's just not practical to go because they have to go to work or something. So they do Mangala Arati at home with their family.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shrudev. Very nice questions.
You have to
Actually,
understand, devotional service is both transcendental and practical.
Mm,
Use your intelligence how to execute devotional service.
yeah.
It's practical too.
Thank you, Maharaj. Raj Prabhu, you unmuted yourself, so I'm thinking you have a question, Prabhu?
Sorry, that was by accident.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure that I did not, that you're not ignored. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else has a question to ask? This has been such a nice discussion and sharing and lots of questions. I have to go back and play this lecture again and make my notes. If there are no questions, Maharaj, we thank you so much for joining us. Maharaj, normally I would ask you to chant around, but I know that you have to get ready to leave. Okay, we'll do a round. Haribol. Perfect.
Real quick, Anasuya,
Yes.
Anahita has a question which she unknowingly sent in the chat, but it came to me instead of to you.
Yes, can you ask? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and read it,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Guru Maharaj, I wanted to ask how to get your new book. I think she's talking about Krishna's Way, Natural Living. I know I asked before, but I don't think it was out.
Who's asking?
Anahita. Anna, she's written Anna Hughes.
Oh, Anna, oh, yeah. The books are in the UK. If you're in the UK, you can get them easy. Just could contact Brajendra Nandana, and he'll get you a copy. So just give her the email address of Brajendra Nandana. She's right in the UK, right there. You can get one easy. You have Brajendra Nandana's email, right? You're on mute now.
Sridevi, you're muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, Guru Maharaj, I have Rajendra Prabhu's WhatsApp number. So I will talk to him and ask for him to kindly arrange a book for Anna.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Jai Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna, Krishna, Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. 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 Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Marge, for a wonderful class, and thank you for making time for us this weekend and this morning. And we thank the devotees for joining us. And Marge, we look forward to your return next year. We eagerly wait for your visit, your darshan, your mercy, everything. We're trying to be greedy here, Marge.
Hare Krishna. Just one brief announcement. Srimati, you want to make an announcement about tomorrow's class?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, yes, Guru Maharaj, tomorrow, I didn't get it, for tomorrow's class, I didn't get any link from you, Guru Maharaj, so I was wondering, you said you will send me the Zoom link, but
Yeah, I can send you either the contact where you can get the Zoom link.
yes, Guru Maharaj, but I don't know any details about the class, Guru Maharaj, sorry about that. So
Well,
I'm
just to announce that the devotees will be on a different Zoom link tomorrow.
okay, yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, dear devotees, Hare Krishna, as Guru Maharaj said, like tomorrow we'll not have a regular daily class. Instead, we'll have a different Zoom link, which Maharaj is going to give me soon. I'll share in the WhatsApp. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, I'll give you the contact. Well, 1 minute, right? Dira. Yeah. If you wait, I'll give it to you right now. Can you go up and get my phone? It's on the next to the closet. So if you give me maybe about 22nd, I'll give you the contact. You can make the announcement now.
Sure.
It's a group of devotees from Philadelphia.
Okay.
So they wanted me to do that class tomorrow. So I'll give you the contact person, so you just call him,
Yes,
and,
Maharaj.
or I'll just send him a message and ask him to send you the information. Coming up. Getting closer. Almost there. Okay, I think we got it here. Okay, here is the phone number. It's a WhatsApp number. It's 610 area code
Yes. Good.
864
Okay.
2612.
2612.
Yeah, his name is Chaitanya Das. He's the son of Kaivalya. So you can tag, his name is Chaitanya Chandra Das. So
Okay.
Kaivalya is the one that's arranging it. Okay, that's his father. So yeah, just connect with him and he'll give you everything.
Sure, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, I'll post the Zoom link soon in the WhatsApp groups. Please look for it and join tomorrow. Thank you so much. It will be in the same time, Guru Maharaj, 8 a.m. Eastern time.
If I'm still alive, yeah. I have to do a class. There's going to be a late class in the evening, so I'll be there.
Yes,
What condition
March,
I'll be in.
we want you to come back next year, so I think you have to hang in there.
Oh. I made plans to figure out how to come back by not coming back.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We really look forward to your visit next year again, March. I used to always think about the old days in Gita Nagari where you would come so frequent in the year, and now we have to wait for 12 months to see you again, March. So
We had a real successful Rath Yatra organized by Anasuya. It was the Harrisburg annual Rath Yatra. It was really, really nice. So many devotees we had.
we did a count at the end and we served out 1,000 plates of prasada, March, and nothing was left over.
For Harrisburg, that's really good.
Yes, Marge, it is. Being the capital city, it's really, really laid back and very, so quote unquote calmer than Philadelphia, being the capital city, but that's really good. Yes, Marge, it is.
Yeah. So we gave it a new name. It's no longer Harrisburg. It's Harrisburg.
Harrisburg. Yes, and we invite the devotees, if you happen to be in US in this town, please do come visit us so that we can give us the opportunity to serve you so that we can get to know more, get to know you more. So thank you so much. And we
And
thank,
give-
yes, Marge.
Give him the address of the temple.
Yes, dear Krishna, can you put it in the chat, Prabhu, the temple address quickly? Do you mind? Thank you so much. And yeah, please. And our website is iskonharrisburg.org. So please do visit us and pray for us, bless us as we embark this preaching mission of Srila Prabhupada in Harrisburg City under Srila Prabhupada's umbrella. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Vancho Prapti Vyascha, Kripasinda Bevacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Candramauli Swami ki.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Thank
Where's
you.
the-
Thank you, Guru.
Here's the
Hare-
address. 6200 Bedford.
6200 Bedford Street, yes.
Candramauli Swami ki jai.
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 Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Anasuya.
Thank you. Hari Hari Bol.
Very much.
Hari
Thank you,
Krishna.
Anasuya.
Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
God Sri Prabhupada.
Jai
God
Shri
Sri
Prabhupada.
Thank
Sri
you.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.